Hi, I'm Tai Chi and this is Waking Up in America. Today I'm in Chef's Music Store in Franklin, Tennessee. The reason why I'm here, well, you guessed it, I needed music lessons for my kids when I first moved to Franklin. And you know, I've asked a few people where do I find good music lessons, and I also needed a piano. And everyone I asked, they said there's only one place to go. Go see Ron. Well, I was expecting, you know, what you expect to come when you come to a Music City's music store. But what I could not have imagined was just this beautiful encounter and the story behind this place, the music here in this town, and the story of Ron Chef. So one thing that really moved me was the way he greeted me, this gentleman with a big, warm smile. Immediately I felt I was home. Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you for welcoming me, and thank you for all that you have done for this community.
Well, it's done a lot for me too. And we're just delighted to have you here.
Oh, thank you. You know, and that's what I read an interview about that you've done your story, and it said when you first came here, you said the community embraced you, and you embraced them right back. Or was it the other way?
I know they embraced me, and I certainly feel like I'm trying to embrace them as well.
Oh, you've done so much, and even in this like little window of time that I've spent here. I see you support the local school bands and just all these kids that come out of here that you have enabled, really. You have provided great service for them.
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to spread the love of music.
In Croatia, we after dinner, somebody picks up a guitar still and we just sing.
Oh, I love that. And I think it starts in families. That's where it needs to start. I know it's where it started with me, and I've watched it go to my children, to my grandchildren.
Now, in your life, in your story, there was a shift to music, wasn't there? Would you?
Well, yes, and just to be really brief and stuff. Like I said, I grew up in a family that my mother was very musical. She taught herself to play guitar, and her dad had played guitar, and so we had music in the house, and then she had an old upright piano, and she was self-taught. But we had music from the early ages that there was singing going on in our house. And at an early age, I learned to play piano, and then a little later, my brother and sister and I had a gospel trio, and we traveled around singing in the state, and that lasted for a little while until my sister got married, and then my brother and I did like a duo back before you were born, Hootenanny days with the guitar. And it was like a lot of folk type music. So we did that for a while. But anyway, so I had a background of music, and of course in the church and the school, played music. But I never thought that would be a career. You know, my dad always wanted me to get an education. And so that was really focused on being successful by getting an education. So I did. I was the first in my family to finish high school, and that was a big deal. Then went on to college and stuff. And I didn't major in music, but even in college, I supported myself playing music or doing something in music. Bottom line is I ended up in Vietnam with the 1st Infantry in a combat unit. And one bad day, somehow I survived. And it was just like an epiphany that up until this point, I had been driven to be in corporations, to be a corporate head, to be an attorney. I had even worked dabbled in politics. I knew I could be a leader. I felt like I could be a leader for good. I mean, but also I wanted to be successful financially. And so I was driven as a very young kid to be the president, to be the captain of the football team, to do, to excel.
Yes.
But when that bad day, I said, this is futile. Life is short. Why would you spend all your time trying to be the head of a corporation or be a big attorney or be governor or president life is so short, you need to embrace the things that you love and you love to do. And so it's kind of like that day I decided that if I get out of here, I'm going to pursue something in music. Didn't have an idea how it would.
Well, what's really in your heart, what it felt like it was really your path that was meant to be. And so often, and this is what this show is about, to tell people, it's one thing, we all try, and this is how life is, we're trying to live a life that is successful, that maybe looks good on the outside, that maybe your parents want for you. And it's not a bad life, but you gotta be true to what's in your heart. And so you had that shift, you had that epiphany, and you had courage then to...
I thought I would be a good teacher, and I taught some in high school and junior high, and so now I want to teach in college. With 3 babies, and I quit my job and go work on my PhD, but then the job market was not good for entry level out of college. But I'd started writing music, and my dissertation was in commercial music. So I needed to come to Nashville and find out, how do kids that want to be studio musicians, or they want to be road musicians, or they want to be publishers, they want to be record label heads. The universities were not geared to train you to work as a commercial musician. You're trained in the classics, the figured bass of Bach, and you dissect all the symphonies, but you really didn't know, like Rick was telling us earlier today, that he had to learn to read the chord charts. And he did that when he was working in his little bands, even though he had had these degrees in music.
And it's interesting because when we moved, one of the first music lessons that my 7th grader brought home was, the licensing, all the different licenses, the first music lesson of the year. Okay, you got to know mechanical licenses, publisher license, performing rights. I was like, this is Nashville. This is, like what you're saying is that, yes, musicians, we really have to have the understanding of that. So you got all of that under...
Well, that was my ideal. Sometimes we have plan A and we may have plan B, but then God has plan C.
Yes.
So anyway, so instead of going back to Atlanta, we ended up coming to Nashville, and we just came here, and it was like home. This is where we're supposed to be.
I know the feeling.
It just was... It was a heart thing.
I think did you say hard or heart? Heart. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
and
in
hard
that.
Too.
Yes, but it's in that moment when you surrender, when you say, okay, you know what? And this is what I love about American spirit. It doesn't matter that and it's not even a failure. It's like you try and it doesn't work. So you don't say, oh, and give up. Mm-hmm. No, you try something. You surrender. You recognize that, oh, I have a path. And I have a purpose, and that I can serve through what's really in the heart. Mm-hmm. And then you find yourself in the perfect place where you're just meant to be. You were sharing with me that you were in a situation where you were working with students who went on to have brilliant careers. And I'm sure that it's because you happened to be there, that you had something to do with that. And then, of course, the saying is that behind every great man, there is a great woman. So it was your wife that...
it was basically, she encouraged the music store idea because we'd found this cute little town right outside of Nashville, Franklin. And it was very small at the time and things, but she decided they needed a music store. And this was going to be our way for me to free up time to do more creative things, which I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because my youngest was starting into kindergarten, so she was going to be an empty nester for a while, so she wanted something to do. Although she didn't know music, she was very organized and very disciplined. So that's how the music store came about in Franklin. Unfortunately, she had cancer and died in the first year. So now I had 3 children, a music store, I was the minister of music at the Methodist Church, and director of fine arts at this Brentwood Academy. So what am I going to do, So, and we had borrowed against everything we owned. written. So it was like probably the worst time of my life, but that's when this community really embraced us. You know, they brought us food while she was going through treatment, and even brought it after she passed away. They brought us food. They helped me with carpooling the kids. I mean, you've never seen such an outpouring of love. So now, 35 years later, we're still here, and just been blessed to be able to raise my family, and now starting with the grandchildren. They all love music, and they all have their different things they love, but we all sing and play music, so that's the fun part.
And again, people like me who come in, I mean, and the teachers you have here are just amazing.
Oh.
I brought my kids to get drum lessons.
Yeah.
And yes.
We have about 30 different teachers.
Wow.
From everything from piccolo to piano, you know, and everything in between, banjo, guitar. And we have the most outstanding musicians that have come here to teach. Some of them are kind of retired off the road. Some of them are actually still doing some road work, or they're doing studio work, and they're writing, and they're doing arrangements, and just some of the most talented people in the world from the best music schools anywhere. And so we're just blessed, and they like kids, and they like adults, and they like spreading, and they're not just good musicians, but they're good at teaching.
Yes, I think that's the spirit, you know, of really giving. Yes, you can be successful, have a great career, and even, you know, as a musician, but what is better than to give back and to pass it on, and not just, you know, the technique and the skill, but also the love for the music.
Exactly. I'd like to introduce Rick Jackson. He's just like one of the guys I was talking about.
Yeah.
He has all these wonderful classical chops that he can play, and he's well disciplined and trained, but he's made his living mostly as a jazz musician. And I love the fact that when he plays with my little band, he's really great with the blues and pops and stuff and the rock and roll. So anyway, why don't we make him play some for us?
Would you please?
I've got to slip away, so I'll let you can be his boss right now.
Ron, thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
It's a pleasure, and we'll look forward to having you here for many more years, and all your kids, and
Yes.
playing and doing some gigs together and stuff. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Rick, this is such a treat. Thank you. I'm so excited to have this chance. I mean, unexpected.
Okay.
So you teach many styles here.
I do. I teach whatever their aptitude is for. You know, if it's classical, or some people want to learn rock and roll or pop or jazz or whatever. But so I play all different styles, and that's what I teach.
Well, play some classical for us. Wow, nice. Now, do you, you know, how do you say it? Like,
Oh, with the ruler?
Ruler, yes.
No, I don't do that.
No.
I'm
Okay.
very easygoing.
Okay.
Lots of patience.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Well, yeah, we could do a little sort of
Yay! and Ron was raving about your blues.
blues. Yeah, well, okay, so yeah,
Now, can we do a song together?
I'd love to.
So, yes, you're all the
So,
things you are.
Yeah.
And you know, when I first came to America, I didn't know many of these songs, and this was a song that I actually just discovered on a piece of paper, you know, in the music score. And because since I could read music, which is important that you guys teach how to read music, and I remember the song just came alive off of the sheet of paper, and came and played in my head. You are the promised kiss of springtime that makes us of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are Wow, thank you so much. So this week, take off the pictures of your old piano if you have one at home, and open the cover and look at the strings, touch them, or play, just pluck the notes. Doesn't matter what comes out, but listen to what comes out of that instrument. Or if you don't have an instrument at home, walk into a music store and reconnect with music, or sing with your children or grandchildren some old song long forgotten, and see what happens in your heart. Until next time, I'm Tai Chi, and this is Waking Up in America. Thank you for watching.